It is our pleasure.
Can I put my stuff here?
You're right here?
Yeah.
All right, sure, it's fine. It's our pleasure to introduce to you this year's Ministerial Distinguished Service Award recipient, Dr. Jonathan Salgado. Jonathan was born in Honduras and grew up in Guatemala. Both his father and mother were Quaker ministers. He graduated from Pasadena College with undergraduate and graduate degrees in religion and continued his education at Claremont School of Theology, where he earned Master of Divinity and Doctor of Ministry degrees. Jonathan is an ordained minister in the Church of the Nazarene. Among his pastoral assignments, he served as an associate pastor in Idaho at Nampa College Church of the Nazarene, where he ministered especially among the poor and oppressed in the prisons and labor camps.
Right. Excuse me. I know some stuff about him too. And little known things.
Yeah.
Stuff you probably don't know. So for instance, did you know that the Church of the Nazarene did a vote, the entire denomination, and voted Jonathan Salgado the most interesting man in the world? Did you know that? They did. And, I mean, you mentioned the labor camps, that thing. He did the whole thing with migrant workers up in Idaho. Cesar Chavez was even there. Yeah. And it was soon after that whole bracelet thing started. People back then started wearing these bracelets that said WWJD. Yeah. It stood for what would Jonathan do? That whole thing got co-opted later.
Jonathan and his wife Maggie were appointed as missionaries for the Church of the Nazarene and were assigned to teach at European Nazarene College in Switzerland. His first assignment was to teach Greek to German students in English with a Spanish accent. Jonathan served as the academic dean of Sendas, the Nazarene Seminary in Costa Rica, founded Nazarene Bible College in Guatemala, and for a number of years taught at Nazarene Bible College in Colorado Springs.
There are a couple of other things. His knowledge. I don't know why you think he's funny. Anyway, his knowledge, this other stuff you probably don't know. There's so many things you don't know, but one of them is, did you know his knowledge is legendary, to the point where, you know that if the help desk has a question, they call him. Did you know that when he drives a new car off the lot, it increases in value?
I didn't know that. Jonathan worked for Compassion International, where he served as Director of International Ministries in Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. In more recent years, Jonathan pastored the First Church of the Nazarene in Tuxtla, a prestigious congregation in the south of Mexico, in Chiapas. When Pablo Salazar, one of the members of his congregation, was elected governor of the state of Chiapas, Jonathan accepted the invitation to be the spiritual advisor for the new governor. This opened opportunities for Jonathan to serve as pastor and advisor to a number of political leaders throughout Mexico.
Beyond just Pablo, I mean other political leaders in Mexico too. But did you know that he has started a hospital in Guatemala? Jonathan did? He did. He's been to so many countries around the world and never gotten malaria. I'm serious. Mosquitoes don't bite him out of sheer respect. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Did you know? Did you know his passport doesn't even need a photograph? Same driver's license. Just says Jonathan Salgado.
Thanks. Jonathan continues his work in Mexico and Latin America, serving as an advisor and leader for a significant medical mission in Guatemala, as well as a pastor and facilitator for leaders in youth ministry in southern Mexico. He also continues his ministry of teaching as an adjunct professor for Nazarene Theological Seminary, Olivet Nazarene University, and Azusa Pacific University. Jonathan and his wife Maggie are the proud parents of 2 daughters, Marvell and Marcella, and 2 grandchildren.
Right. Did you know that he invented the concept of zero? Yeah, he did. And one time he he had an awkward moment just to see what it felt like. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join us in congratulating
the most interesting man in the world,
Dr. Jonathan Salgado.
I didn't ask for that. God's people in God's places. That was the title of a commencement speech given by Dr. Timothy Smith 40 years ago. It was the last commencement of Pasadena College. I was there, and some of you, my friends, were there that day. Remember? Some of you were professors, some of you were my classmates. God's people in God's places was the title of the speech. It was a moving message, preparing the college community to face the reality that they were moving from Pasadena to San Diego. But for me personally, it was a message that helped me gain perspective of what was going on in my life and prepare me for what was coming. See, I was born in Central America, as my friends mentioned. I was raised in a Quaker parsonage. After finishing high school, and after 2 very serious accidents, which helped me discover that racing cars and racing motorcycles was not going to be my career. But with a strong spiritual foundation of a Quaker heritage and a Quaker home, I came to the US. And providentially, after falling in love with Maggie, I ended up attending Pasadena College. God's people in God's places. In 1973, when I heard that message, I was a young pastor, finishing my master's, not sure about the future. But I understood then that God's plan was the best. The influence and the wise advice of my professors and mentors, God's people, guided my decisions to go to God's places. A few years of ministry at Nampa College Church in Idaho paved the way to 46 years of a missionary career that took Maggie and me to different places in Europe, Latin America, and the USA. In all of those places, as we work in theological institutions of theological education, in churches, in organizations of human development, and as we got involved in movements promoting peace and justice, everywhere there were key persons who encouraged me, who helped me, leaders who inspired me, and who were patient with me. Albert Schweitzer once said, and I quote, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person," end of quote. So true. I think with deep gratitude of those who throughout the years were the spark that God used to rekindle my own fire on many occasions. The list is long, and some are present here today. Friends, mentors, and I wish I had the time to name each one. That is all part of yesterday. Today, the fact remains that as we gather here, we are all God's people in God's places. As we follow His will, and as we find ourselves in different professions, serving in different organizations, facing different challenges, experiencing different opportunities in different geographical areas, many of us have one thing in common. We are graduates of Point Loma Nazarene University. And through the Alumni Association, we know about God's people in God's places because we can keep in touch and even help each other. Ruben Welch was right when he said that we really do need each other. Yes, there are times when we need the spark to rekindle the light of others. And that is why today I want to express my gratitude to the university, to you, President Brower, and to the Alumni Association for this award. You have rekindled my fire. I understand this is not an award for being successful. I know you and I agree with Mother Teresa, who said, God doesn't require us to succeed. He only requires that you try. And that is what I've been doing throughout the years, trying. And I keep on trying. So today I'm grateful to my Lord Jesus, who gives me the power to keep trying. I'm grateful to my loving family, Maggie, my wife, my dear daughters, Marvel, Marcella, sons-in-law, Jim and Carlos, my dearest granddaughters, Emmy and Amani, for giving me the freedom and the inspiration to keep trying. And I'm grateful to my alma mater, to my mentors, and to so many of you, my dear friends, for giving me the support and the encouragement to keep trying. With George Bernard Shaw, I can say, and I quote, I dread success. To have succeeded is to have finished one's business on earth. I like the state of continual becoming, living with gratitude, with a goal in front and not behind. End of quote. I have discovered that living with gratitude for knowing what we are God's people in God's places, makes sense of yesterday. I've discovered that living with gratitude for knowing that we are God's people in God's places brings peace for today. And living with gratitude for knowing that we are God's people in God's places creates a vision for tomorrow. As we continue our journey, my friends, as we continue together, let us remember who we are. Who are we? Would you say it with me? We are God's people in God's places. And to God be the glory.